how awesome is that for men's basketball and Coach Painter and his crew getting to the Sweet 16? I mean, he has set the standard of in all of sport on what it looks like, and much respect. Great work getting to where they are. Can't wait to support them Friday. And football is 100% behind them, and can't wait to watch them go compete. And, you know, the things they do out on the court, it all carries over. It's contagious in my belief. So can't say enough great things of what they've done, how open they have been to me since I've been here. And you know, that's a standard set by our athletics director, Mr. Babinski, and his approach to the way he has done things. And certainly we need to follow up and do our part when it's our turn.
How do those things feed off of each other, just from one staff to another, one sport to another?
Well, I think you always, you know, I think in the game of sport, you forever have had opportunities to collaborate with guys in the profession, maybe in a different sport, that do things and win at a high level. And there's a process for him, I'm sure, that he believes in very strongly. There's some carryover to in our short conversations that we've been able to have about his sustained success on how he's done it, and the makeup of what Purdue is. So, you know, I think for me, that everywhere I've had a chance to be, we've had relationships with other sport coaches, and you know, we always, you know, I believe that you help each other, you build off their successes, and then when our season rolls around, hopefully we can provide something for their teams to be able to want to follow through with. But you can feel it, you know, it's the same way when we were at Arkansas, and Musselman had, you know, a couple of Elite Eight runs, and I was at Missouri, and Conzo Martin, you know, had a couple of runs there. You know, really good friend of mine, and Musselman is too. And then, you know, we had success at UNLV, and I think you look at what success Lindy LaRock had there in women's basketball. You know, four straight conference championships in the Mountain West. You know, we worked closely together in recruiting and what we would think would work in that city, and she helped us out a lot from a football standpoint. So, and then, you know, start off the fall sport. If you can have success in football, it kind of sets the table for, you know, everybody else, hopefully, trying to follow that.
You're a third of the way through spring ball. Are you sort of where you thought you'd be right now? Kind of give us an assessment.
By position, I think each position group has made progress. I don't know if Tom sit there and thought after day 6, this is exactly where I want to be. I think we've gotten better in a lot of spots. I think, again, the offensive line group to me has, they've come together, even with all the moving parts, a little bit faster than maybe I anticipated. You know, the quarterbacks were rotating all the guys, so it's, you know, there's not a lot of continuity with, you know, one group. You know, this is our ones, or we're changing it every day. So, and then defensively, I think we've been able to add a few more schematic wrinkles early, a little bit further along in that process than I maybe thought we would be. I think our assistant coaches have done a great job teaching and coaching, and this team that we've either inherited or brought in January, they've been hungry for structure, discipline, and then everything that we put out in front of them, they've tried to attack. And we all know we've got a long ways to go leading up to the spring showcase, and you know, the number of limited practices we get between now and then on what that'll look like. But we've made progress. I'm glad we're not playing Saturday. We're not anywhere close to being ready for a game yet.
Seemed pretty intense for our first day back from spring break. Was it good just maybe for these guys to get those, you know, that first run in, take a week away, and then come back into it?
Fortunately, you know, been over the years in a couple of different spots where there's been different structure on how many to get in before spring break, how many, you know, what that looks like. And when I was with Coach Pinkel for years at Missouri, we always tried to get at least 5 in before spring break, somehow, some way. But you can't control it sometimes, because you also want to get 7 to 8 weeks of our off-season program in. And luckily here, the spring break failed just about perfect for us on what we wanted to try to get done as far as in the weight room. And then, but now our guys, non-practice days, they're cranking it up in the weight room, a lot of meetings. But I like the structure. I was talking with another coach the other day, and asking how theirs was going, ours was going, and at that point we had 5, and I said we need about 500 more, and but we'll get there. There's just no time to waste, and we have that feeling. We understand where we got to get.
Do you have attributes that you prioritize from a running back standpoint that you want to see from that group?
Yeah, I think number one, it's taking care of the football. It's the ability to block, finishing with great pad level, always finishing the run, going forward, the ability to have vision out in open space, break tackles. And then if you can find a guy that's got all of those plus breakaway speed, those guys are rare. So I think that's why you see in the game of college football, there's so many different programs now that are playing multiple running backs. And everybody's got a little bit different skill set, but day one, if you're not willing to block, it's going to be hard to play here. And then you've got to be able to take care of the football, as important as that. And then the ability to finish runs and run physical and finish moving forward, falling forward. You guys are safe. I heard the tires there is checking it out. So there's a number of things, and then I've always wondered, how well can you teach vision? Is that more of a born with and learned experience, or is there some things you can do to teach that? And I believe it's a combination of both. But the guys that are able to get out in open space and there's one-on-one, and you can either make him miss or run through him and finish a run, or make him miss and go score. Those are the elite ones.
Barry, a lot of teams are doing away with spring games. So I know you're going to have one this year. So what's your stance on spring games?
Well, I think for us, we're going to move it a little bit more geared, call it a spring showcase, because it's not just going to be a 4-quarter game. We're going to have practice elements. We're going to do some individual drills. There's some things that we have to, from just the number of reps that we want to get, maybe in a red zone 7-on-7. If we don't use that day for some of those scripted things, then we won't. We're going to come out of spring and not hit exactly the rep count that I need to hit. And then there'll be some scrimmage situation that day as well. But for us, and maybe a change in years from now, I don't know. But the traditionalist in me is, we're going to open the showcase up for fans, and I want them to be invested in our program. I want them to see our coaches coach and teach. It'll be a big recruiting day for us, and then I want to see our players have the ability, even though we've got a number of people that come to practice now, I want them to perform in the arena in either a scripted 11-on-11 situation, or a live, put the ball down at the 5-yard line, see how good our offense can go score and defense can hold them. So it'll be a different day. There'll be practice elements and also certainly some scrimmaging in there as well.
Are you guys going to scrimmage on Friday?
This Friday,
yeah.
We'll have some elements of practice, but then we will scrimmage as well. Yes, sir.
You talked about rotating the quarterbacks. Is whoever wins that job kind of dependent on what your offense will look like? Or is it?
I think right now, depending on any of the 3 or 4, I don't know that we'll have to change that much, which is, I think there's value in that. There's certainly things that guys do a little bit better than others. But as far as trying to limit or call it differently, I don't want to get in a position that we're having to do that.
What's the health of the team, Barry?
I believe we had 3 guys not participate in practice today. So at this point in spring practice, from when we started in January to where we are now, we would say we're in a pretty good position.
Jalen St. John was guys all conference for you last year. Just how has he come in and established himself as a leader and a trusted guy on that offensive line?
Yeah, I believe that he's a veteran guy that had some snaps at Arkansas. then transferred to UNLV and played every snap basically, and was one of the main reasons we had success in the ability to run the ball and offensively. And that's carried over here, because there's not many people in the country that's had more snaps than he has. So, I wouldn't trade experience for anything. Now he can continue to elevate his game, which he has in the last 6 practices. But we're counting on him to be a big time player for us at that position.
Hey, what was the name of that drill at the end of the practice, and what are you looking for there?
We call it, everybody around the country that does it calls it something different. For us, it's the Boilermaker. And we're looking for the elements of foundation of football: blocking, getting off blocks, angles, and then a tackle component to it, running tough, taking care of the ball. Emotion, energy, part of our bottom line. It's good to see the players compete. We always, every single practice, in spring ball, we're going to end it with some sort of competitive drill, a 2-minute drill, end of game situation, something like today. I just believe the more that you can put your players in position to compete, then they start to thrive on it.
The way you run practice, there's not a lot of guys standing around just with empty time. How much value is there in guys kind of always going through reps, I guess?
If you're not ready, you're going to get exposed really quickly. And the way to get better at football is for us to go practice and do ball. So the way we've structured our practice, it's a lot of organization, a lot of moving parts that have to be on the same page. Our coaching staff has done a really nice job on getting that designed and implemented and then taught. And then the execution of it, it takes everybody from the equipment staff to sports medicine, to our assistant coaches, and then you talk about the video. We get 3 different shots of every play and where all that's coming from, and field location on where the drills need to be. I think it's the only way to do things, and as long as your roster can hold up to do it, then I think that elevates our program, but puts it on fast forward.
How is Stu Smith risen his level of play this spring?
I think he's, we've moved him around a lot, 3 different positions on the back end, but he has shown really good coverage skills, smart football player, football IQ, and then he's been a playmaker. He's made plays for us. He understands where his leverage points are, the ability to, use the help where he has it. He's been vocal in understanding the scheme, and then he's made plays. So he's continuing to, provided, and then in those opportunities creates great value for himself.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thank you, Coach.
Y'all have a